Please, baby, don't leave me over this, he begged, tears streaming down his face. I just stared, silent. The next time we met, a lawyer sat between us. An annulment based on fraud, my lawyer said calmly. The shock on his face when he was served the papers was my real wedding gift. We're supposed to be in the honeymoon phase. I mean, we've only been legally married for 8 months. Just yesterday, I was on the phone with a venue coordinator, trying to decide between ivory or champagne-colored tablecloths for our big wedding celebration next year. We did the quick courthouse thing during lockdown. But the big party, the one with our families, the white dress, the first dance, was supposed to be our real start. It's funny, I guess, I was so focused on the details of a future that, it turns out, was already a lie. This isn't new. To understand where I am now, you have to know about the 3 years of dating that came before the ring. It was a cycle. Things would be great. Perfect even. And then I'd get that sick, twisting feeling in my stomach. The late nights at the office. The way he'd angle his phone away from me. It'd catch him. And it was always the same 3-act play. First, the flat-out denial. Second, when I presented undeniable proof, came the flood of excuses. It didn't mean anything. We were just talking. I was drunk and stupid. And finally, if I got lucky, it'd get a sliver of the truth. He was still doing it when he proposed. And he was still doing it a month before we went to the courthouse. I found him actively messaging guys on sex apps. I remember just staring at his phone. The screen lighting up my face in the dark. The words weren't even registering. My brain was just trying to solve a puzzle. How can the man who cries when we watch sad movies and holds my hand at the grocery store be the same man typing these things to strangers? I confronted him. I sat on the edge of our bed, the marriage license application sitting on the dresser, and I told him, "We can't do this. I can't do this." He fell apart. He begged. He cried. He swore on his life that he was terrified of losing me and that fear was making him self-destruct. He promised he would change. He promised we'd go to therapy, both together and separately. He said all the right words. And God, I wanted to believe them so badly. But therapy never happened. Whenever I'd bring it up, there was always a reason. Babe, with the wedding deposits, we just can't swing it right now. An excuse. Always a money-related excuse. Last night, I got my proof that nothing had changed. He was in the shower, and his phone buzzed on the nightstand. A woman's name I didn't recognize. My heart hammered against my ribs. A voice in my head screamed at me not to look, to just let it go. But I couldn't. It was like a physical compulsion. I picked it up. The chat history was right there. They clearly knew each other well. There were inside jokes, mentions of last time, and plans for a next time. It wasn't a sudden, soul-crushing wave of pain this time. It was a cold, quiet click, like the last tumbler falling into place in a lock. I wasn't just looking at evidence of another affair. I was looking at the definitive, final answer to a question I'd been asking myself for years. Am I crazy? Am I too jealous? Am I making this up? The answer was no. The man I married doesn't exist. He's a character my husband plays between affairs. And now I'm his wife. Stuck in the same loop. And I don't know if I have the strength to get out this time. I didn't throw the phone. I didn't scream. The last few times I found something, it was like a bomb went off in my chest. Hot, loud, and messy. This time was different. It was cold. I felt a strange and awful calm wash over me as I placed his phone back on the nightstand. Screen down. My hands weren't even shaking. I think a part of me, a deep, buried part, wasn't surprised at all. This was an outcome I had been subconsciously preparing for. My mind wasn't racing with questions of why. It was slowly, methodically asking, what now? He came out of the bathroom a few minutes later, a towel around his waist, humming some stupid song from the radio. He smiled when he saw me. Hey, you, he said, walking over to his side of the closet. The complete, blissful ignorance on his face was the most painful part. He was living in a different reality. One where he was a loving husband getting ready for bed. I just watched him. I waited for him to notice the silence. It took him a full minute. He turned from his dresser, his smile faltering. Everything okay? I didn't answer. I just looked at his phone on the nightstand. His eyes followed my gaze. I saw the flash of understanding. Then the immediate flicker of panic. He walked over. Picked it up. And his face went pale. The script began. Babe. What is this? You are on my phone? Act 1. Denial. Mixed with a dash of righteous indignation about his privacy. I didn't take the bait. My voice was level. Almost detached. Who is she? She's nobody. A friend from work. It's just jokes. It's not what it looks like? Act 2. Excuses and minimization. He was already moving toward me. Hands outstretched. Ready to placate me. I held up a hand. A small gesture. But it stopped him in his tracks. Don't. That's when he knew. He saw that the usual tactics weren't going to work. He saw that I wasn't angry. I was done. The panic in his eyes morphed into sheer desperation. Okay. Look. I messed up. He stammered. His voice starting to crack. It was a stupid mistake. It will never happen again. I swear to you. Please. Baby. Don't do this. Don't let this one stupid thing ruin everything we've built. Act 3. The begging. The pleading. The promises. I just sat there on the bed and watched him. It was like I was floating near the ceiling. Watching an actor perform a monologue he'd memorized years ago. I could predict every line. Every gesture. The way he ran his hands through his hair when he was cornered. The way his voice would get thick with manufactured tears. I realized this was never a fight between two people. It was a performance. And my role was to get angry. Cry. And eventually forgive. This time. I didn't play my part. I just watched him. And without my participation. His performance just seemed hollow and pathetic. He finally ran out of words. Standing in the middle of the room. Looking at me. Waiting for my cue. The silence stretched on. Thick and suffocating. He was waiting for a fight. For tears. For anything but this empty stillness. I gave him nothing. In that moment. I knew I had a choice. I could stay and knowingly sign up for a lifetime of these reruns. Or I could finally change the channel. But how do you walk away when the person who broke you is crying and begging you to fix him? How do you find the strength to do it? He eventually retreated to the guest room. I heard the door click shut. And the silence that followed was louder than any argument we've ever had. It was a dead, heavy quiet. The kind that fills a space where something used to be. I sat there for what felt like hours. Just listening to the hum of the refrigerator and the sound of my own breathing. Our whole life, our whole future, had been built on a foundation of his promises. And I finally understood that the foundation was made of nothing but air. My brain, unable to process the sheer weight of the emotional fallout, started latching onto the practicalities. The wedding celebration. I actually laughed. A short, bitter sound that got swallowed by the silence. I went to my laptop and opened the folder on the desktop labeled Our Big Day. Inside were spreadsheets, contracts, and scanned receipts for the deposits we'd put down. The venue, the photographer, the caterer. It was all there. A neat and tidy digital blueprint for a life that was now officially cancelled. It's just money. I guess. Well, take the hit. But looking at it, I realized it was so much more. Each deposit was an act of faith. A financial manifestation of my hope that this time would be different. I hadn't just been paying for a party. It'd been paying to believe in a lie. And that's when the most crushing thought, the one I've been pushing down for so long, finally broke the surface. The sad thing is, I think I knew it was over before we even got married. That feeling was there when I confronted him about the sex apps a month before the courthouse. It was a cold knot in my stomach as I said I do. A knot I told myself was just wedding day jitters. I ignored every single red flag because I was so in love with the future we had mapped out. I wanted it all with him. The house. The travel. The family. I loved the man I desperately wanted him to be. Not the man who was secretly living a double life on his phone. My marriage of 8 months is over. It feels insane to even type that. I'm 28 years old. And my marriage didn't even last a year. I'm heartbroken. But what's worse is the profound sense of stupidity I feel. I let this happen. I chose to believe him over and over again. So, Reddit. I guess I'm asking for help. How do you even begin to untangle a life that's this intertwined? How do you grieve for a future that was never real to begin with? I have to call vendors and cancel a wedding for a marriage that's already dead. And I have to find the strength to leave the man I still. Somewhere in my broken heart. Love. I feel completely and utterly lost. Where do I even start?